And for the record, we just did the Pledge of Allegiance. We apologize that that was not caught on video. Bernadette is not here tonight. She sends her well wishes to everyone, but she has a work function. And I know it's hard to believe we have to maintain other jobs besides this one, but we certainly do. And we miss her tonight, but we will continue here for our first regular July 2026 meeting of the Village Board of Trustees of Ballston Spa. So here we go. We will not do minutes tonight. Rebecca had a well-earned vacation. We couldn't find them, actually. She had done them, but she sent them around earlier today. Out of fairness to the board, we'll wait until the next meeting to approve those minutes. So I think they've been posted, but we will do that next time. Well, you got Ben Baskin right now as a participant somehow.
But I didn't. He's not over there. I don't know how we got in.
Go to the left one on that. And demote.
Maybe old setting.
What's that?
Old setting.
I'm not sure.
Weird.
Okay. You should move over to the other side of that, right? Yep, there he is. Okay. And so at this point, with no presentations, we will go to public comment on agenda items only, 3 minutes per speaker. If you're on and would like to speak, one of the two people that are on Zoom right now, feel free to raise your hand on there about any agenda item. Anybody in the hall like to speak, you can raise your hand. And Liz.
Liz Cormos, 89 Hyde. I'd like to comment on motion H. I read the document, and one of the questions that sort of came to mind is, are any of the individuals that are currently involved in the village or potentially past former members, particularly in land planning, are any of those folks involved with the nursing home property or any of the other properties in play? I think that would be useful for us to know.
Could you define what you mean? Because I have no idea what you're asking.
If they have a ownership interest, or a member of their families has an ownership interest, just wondering. As far as the document itself, on page 9, it has a footnote that says, these are conceptual massing figures intended to illustrate capacity, not an engineered or surveyed site plan. The village is completing a comprehensive update of its zoning code and its land use framework, including planned unit development approach. The village has committed to applying supportively. And then that refers to section 10, where it says the village would work with the county towards the following: supportive land use treatment, including consideration of the village's planned unit development framework and expedited site plan review to facilitate timely development. As far as I understand it, planned unit development isn't in the proposed code. I don't see why you're referring to it as if it had already, is in the proposed code. I think that's misleading to have those statements in this document. Also, I frankly think it's a long shot for the village to get this, to have the county do what's in this document. The cost savings were compared to doing a build, and I believe they have the potential opportunity to move into a readily built building, which has got to be less expensive than what's being proposed here. But I wish you luck on presenting this, but I have my doubts as to whether it will be accepted. I think we should concentrate on what happens when the county moves out and making sure that those buildings are removed. And then we could have developable land, and it could be tax generating, which this proposal takes the nursing home off the tax rolls. Thank you.
Paul, have you or your family made an investment in the Maplewood Manor site?
We have not.
Charlene, have you or your family?
I can assure you we have not.
Mary, have you or your family?
No.
I can't speak for Bernadette, but I think her answer is no as well. Mine is no as well. More on that topic overall, though, later. Anybody else like to speak? Yes, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mike. I can see 3 Encore Drive. Also, with respect to the response to the county's RFP, a couple of just general comments. It appears to me to be extremely well researched and presents very effectively arguments for retaining the county offices, plural, in Ballston Spa. So to me, it appears to be a pretty powerfully written document. I did not spend much time, so I got a little bit lost with some of the numbers. And there are a lot of numbers in there. If the cost savings that are illustrated indeed are realistic as perceived by the county, it seems to me that's a pretty powerful argument for retaining the location here. With the additional 15 acres plus that's discussed as an alternative site, again, I also am unclear on where we stand with zoning. I kind of have the sense from prior discussions that that site basically has reverted to R1 because of its lack of use in its exempted, or whatever the appropriate term is, capacity once the facility stopped operating.
Abandoned use and a pre-existing non-conforming use that was abandoned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I read the illustration correctly, it appears to be a 4-story building with the possibility of an additional second building. And basic question I have is, requesting that the trustees carefully consider that sort of development in the sense of what we've been hearing from residents about zoning changes and residential construction compared to large-scale buildings.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We'll get to that topic a little bit more later. So right now, let's go to consent agenda. Does anybody need to take either one of the two? There's a room for a third, but we did not put one.
Nope.
I think one of the two items in consent agenda off. Hearing no objection to them being there, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
That's Trustee Dunkelbarger.
I'll second.
Trustee Price Bush. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion along DPW to apply for credit for with Smith and Loveless for sewer pump station parts and supplies, and authorizing the mayor to review and execute the contract for the application once reviewed by the village attorney?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Price Bush. Trustee Dubuque. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that Brady Minor, Alex DeLeo, and Corbin Davies be allowed soliciting permits on behalf of Slick Network Solutions from July, I believe that's supposed to be 14th, excuse the typo on that, 2026, through August 2nd, 2026, from the hours of 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. on Monday through Saturday within the village. Certificate of insurance has been provided.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Price Bush.
Second.
Trustee Dunkelbarger. Discussion. And actually, we should say a good thank you to Slick for their expedited work to get Wi-Fi into the park, and we'll have more on that when we turn it on to the public. One of the aspects of it was a public Wi-Fi network inside Wiswall Park, so that's coming. But obviously, Slick wants these peddler licenses, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the DPW purchase of $3,515 for equipment for Smith Controls as shown on the attached invoice?
So moved.
Trustee Dunkelbarger.
I'll second.
Trustee Dubuque. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the purchase of a custom leaf box for the DPW dump truck for $9,200 from Michael's Automotive in Ballston Spa?
Make the motion.
Trustee Price Bush.
Second.
Trustee Dunkelbarger. Discussion. This was in the budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the purchase of powder coating services for $1,300 from Michael's Automotive in Ballston Spa?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Price Bush.
Second.
Trustee Dunkelbarger, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the hiring of Joanne Isabella to fill in for Carm Isabella while he is unable to perform his duties related to Kelly Park cleaning? Joanne will be paid at the same hourly rate as Carm when she performs such work.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Dubuque.
A second.
Trustee Dunkelbarger, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving Earth Care to do work removing 7 encroaching trees that are affecting the sewer line along the Gordon Creek, not to exceed the cost of $3,100?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Dunkelbarger.
I'll second.
Trustee Dubuque, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. H, we will reserve for new and old business. Mayor's announcements. First, again, thanks everybody that had a hand in helping out with the watch party on last Monday. It was, as I chronicled on Facebook, an interesting little departure for us and a little bit of a risk, but we made it work. Liz Biddle is going to affectionately call her husband and me Geek Squad from here on in, I think because of our work. And I tell Chris I miss him when we had our little computer and camera glitch tonight. But we got that solved. At least you can see us. That's half the battle here. We've got a lot of things going on. Paul will probably update us on the traffic study coming up in his liaison report, probably coming up in a little bit. Remember, we have a street safety speed limit study that's forthcoming here, and that is in the works, and want to reassure folks that is coming up. As you all know, Peckham Paving is doing the work right now on Route 50 and 67, essentially Church Avenue down to Milton Avenue for a portion of it, and then all the way up past the V corners there. I want to read a statement here about something that occurred and give you some disclosure about some stuff we encountered. Scott Kearns and I have been working on this the last couple of weeks especially. I want to give residents a full update on the crosswalks plan for Church Avenue, that's State Route 50 and 67, because the situation is unusual and I think you deserve to hear it straight. For several years, this board has worked to install crosswalks serving the seniors at Doubleday Woods. With Labella's engineering, we sited it along the Rosewood Court sidewalk specifically to keep pedestrians out of the sight lines of a blind curve so that the crosswalk itself didn't put people in danger. Because the state would have required our own DPW to do the ramping, striping, and a lane closure on a dangerous stretch of road, and because the DOT had this section of closure, or section of Route 5067 scheduled for repaving this summer, we asked Labella to fold the crosswalk into the state's project. As CDTA worked with us on relocating bus stops in the area, we added a second crosswalk near McMaster Street to serve the southbound stop and spare us burdensome work later on. As the repaving got underway, our DPW working supervisor, Scott Kearns, noticed the crosswalk work wasn't happening. Scott reached out to Peckham, the contractor that won the paving bid, and Peckham confirmed that crosswalks were no longer in the plans. When we went back to Labella, they confirmed the crosswalks had been removed and told us they did not know why or at whose direction. We raised it immediately with New York State DOT Region 1. I'm glad to report that at least the Rosewood crossing is now being restored, with DOT lining up the subcontractors to get it done. We are still confirming whether both crosswalks will be included, and I'll update the board as soon as we know. I want to thank our DPW working supervisors, Scott Kearns, Labella, Peckham, and DOT's Region 1, in particular Guy Tedesco, who I've known for many years and who moved quickly to help get the Rosewood crossing back on track once we raised the alarm. I'll also be direct with residents about where this stands. Approved, engineered public safety crosswalks, features this board worked years to secure for our seniors, were removed from a state construction project, and to this day, no one has told the village who removed them or on whose authority. That is not a paperwork glitch as far as I'm concerned. Someone took these safety improvements out of the finished plan set, and we were never notified, never consulted, never given a reason. I can't tell you tonight whether that was a deliberate decision or an oversight. I simply don't have that answer yet, and I'm not going to guess at it from this chair. Whatever the reason, the result was real. It risked delaying safety improvements our seniors have waited a long time for, and it would have thrown last-minute road work back onto our DPW staff on a dangerous road. This board tried to balance both, waiting for DOT to take the project on this summer so that work could be done safely and properly. And a lot of people in this community were looking forward to these improvements. My priority right now and the board's is simple: get these crosswalks built. Guy Tedesco and his team are working to restore that Rosewood crossing, as I said, and we're pressing to confirm both. Once that work is secured, though, I intend to seek a full written accounting from DOT of how approved safety features disappeared from this project. Our seniors deserve that answer, and so do you, but the crosswalk comes first. I've raised it with Guy that once this work is complete, we'll be pursuing additional safety features on Church Avenue and West High Street, including your speed is signs. Again, crosswalk installation takes priority for now. So just, long story short here, it's been resolved at least in part, and I'm glad, again, points to Scott for sort of noticing. I did too, and we sort of convened to talk to folks in there, and lo and behold, don't know what happened, but while the end justifies some of the means, I guess in certain cases here, we'll find out exactly what happened. Any thoughts from the board on that?
I'm glad you got it put back in because I watch a lot of seniors cross on that curve, and it's very dangerous. So
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yep.
When we were campaigning and, just meeting people, that was such a complaint. I heard from so many people.
Yep. Make sure you talk loud, Owen, because the air system's going on here again. And Ellie. Ellie is our good, as I said that too, look at that. But no, I'm glad that we were able to get that back in, and we'll see where it goes from there. Otherwise, the monopole is rising. This week, I believe it's going to be actually the physical monopole by John Street Tower. Mike, I know you had concerns about the traffic situation over there, and we did send DPW over there to try to figure out how to make it a little safer over there. We didn't foresee that many concrete trucks lined up in a line. That was a lot of cement there, but it shows you how secure that thing becomes because of that amount of cement. And so the pole goes in next, and then we are working to finalize the contracts with the carriers, two of them. We already have our AT&T contract that we had for a lease that we had worked on back when. And, kudos to the AT&T crew with Aerosmith for, we noticed there was a little issue with where the water infrastructure runs there versus where that was going to be placed. And they resurveyed and got it all corrected so that it was not running in a position that would have been problematic for our water infrastructure over there. So they kind of doubled back and got that done. Almost back on, regular schedule, I'd say. They're probably missing a little bit here, but they're working hard to make up the lost time. So we'll keep you updated on that. Otherwise, I think that is all for mayor's announcements. I'll get you the treasurer's report after we go through liaison reports, and we'll start with Mary on that if she's ready, and I'll buy you time if you're not.
I am ready.
Go for it.
Ballston area seniors have an upcoming trip on August 9th, Woodstock Theater for a matinee of Crazy for You by Gershwin with a meal afterwards at the Pearl Moon Cafe. Sign up is July 2nd and 9th. Resident member tickets are $60, non-residents are $70, and guests pay full price. On Wednesday, July 15th, and each third Wednesday of the month, the afternoon pick-in session will take place from 1:30 to 3:30. Doors open at 1 and snacks and beverages will be provided. They request you bring a snack to share and a song to sing. They're so cute. The events task force Family Fun Day will be held Sunday, August 16th. Quiet hours will be from 2 to 3 p.m. General public will be from 3 to 9 p.m. And fireworks will start at 9 p.m. There will be 10 bounce houses again this year, and volunteers are needed for prize booths and the kitchen. And a reminder to everyone that this is a free event, so tell your grandchildren and your friends. In the library, Wednesday, July 15th at 3 p.m., their wonderful Wednesday program, which is open to grades K through 6. Kids can see different types of owls up close, and registration is required, so you can stop in or call. And next Wednesday, July 22nd, from 3 to 4 p.m., kids in grades 2 to 6 can learn what life was like for kids during the American Revolution days. And this is limited to 30 kids, so make sure you register early.
If they were in the vicinity of the cannons we heard the other night going off, they were probably half deaf during the days of Revolution. For those that joined us over there, the county did a good job reenacting for Declaration of Independence reading, but luckily I could cut my big ears, so I didn't get the full blast on that, but that stuff's loud. Shirley?
No official reports, but just to go over meetings. Park and Tree will meet Tuesday, July 21st at 7 p.m. in the Cornell Cooperative Conference Room. Historic District Commission is going to meet July 29th at 7 p.m., 90 East High Street. And the Committee on the Arts will meet August 12th at 7 p.m. right here in the library. And also save the date on August 22nd, the Committee on the Arts is working to put together a art fair. They're doing good with the paperwork, so we can get that approved? Okay, good. We can hopefully get that on the agenda soon and get that approved officially. But it's going to be a really, really cool event, I think, for the village, and the committee is working really, really hard on this. So.
And your oversight is very, very important to them, I know. So thank you for all your work with that as well.
It's been a pleasure.
Paul, DPW, and if you want to talk about the traffic safety.
In addition to running a highway maintenance department and sewer district and a water district, the DPW has completed the work on the sidewalks on the west side of Milton Avenue. They've rebuilt the county, with the assistance of Saratoga County Sewer, they rebuilt one of the pumps at the pumping station at Maple Avenue. They're still working on striping and crosswalks. They have been working on replacing bad meters that were found in the last round of meter reads. They replaced the water main valve on East High Street, and they've started work on the streets that they're going to pave. Helped the Lions Club install a flagpole at the old Iron Spring Park. And then on the traffic calming study, the study has gone out, or the RFP went out. We've had 3 consultants reply to the RFP. The Capital Region Transportation Council is leading that effort for us. They picked a representative from the Capital District Transportation Authority, New York State DOT, and the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, and myself to help them evaluate the proposal. And we are in the midst of consultant selection for that process.
You're still talking to me, so it must not be that bad that I put you on that situation. But
I'd like to note that it's a traffic calming master plan.
Thank you.
Not a speed reduction master plan. It's traffic calming.
Is that the verbiage I need to start using? Just, have a sign ready or something when I missay it every time. But no, thanks for that work. Appreciate that. For those that don't remember, that is essentially what is the $90,000 worth of grant and office work. Essentially, we're getting for $10,000 on top of that as the match. So appreciate that from the state.
Mostly focused on design and implementation, not a lot of process.
Yep. So there we go. But one of the most common questions we get around here is about my street has people going 50 miles per hour out of it, which in some cases, I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday, the reality of speed and the perception of speed are 2 different things, I think, sometimes. And we learned that in Colonial Hills when we put the your speed sign is up there, and the perceptions of what even the speed limit was supposed to be was amazing to watch that play out. So I think it's a good education for all of us to see something like this and to see the answers from it. Let's see here. We have a treasurer's report revenues year to date for up to June 30th, excuse me. The statement of revenues was $1.95 million. Major revenues recorded included the real property tax of $1.6 million and gross utilities tax of nearly $20,000. Water billing, meter cards have been entered thus far, and any meter cards received after June 30th have incurred a $50 no meter read fee. Utility bills will be calculated next week. We anticipate them going out and being received by residents by August 1st. Sales tax distribution, no information. We didn't get the info in time for this meeting, so we'll probably have that for next meeting coming up. Okay, I believe that leads us to old business. Oh, Madam Attorney, I think you and I have a lot of updating to give here on different things. Yep. First, zoning code. I know that right now, more or less, it's still in the board's hands to give some last minute feedback before we give it back to Carla and to Chris to finish up. Chris denoted that we've exhausted money-wise, his money that he was authorized for. We probably should discuss how to handle that so that he can get the last edits in on the situation. Liz brought up the PDD earlier. PDD is part of what we will be working on after this base situation of the code. We've stated that multiple times, so I'm not sure where she was going with that, but you know, what it is and how it works exactly is still up in the air, sure, but we have mentioned multiple times PDD, historic district handling, ADUs and short-term rentals, which I sent a note to the county on Friday. I'm waiting for a response as to where they are with that. So once I know that, you'll know that as well. Rich Harris, who was working on that avenue of things, no longer is with the county. He's gone into the private sector, I believe. So finding out who we talked to over there with respect to the short-term rentals, who's handling them for the county, because they have been given that duty by the state with the new mechanisms from last year or so. What do you have?
A microphone that can't clip.
Well, down here though, way too loud otherwise.
No, absolutely correct. The zoning code, I don't want one that can clip. The zoning code really is just waiting for anything else that you folks have on there. And once we can put that in there, I can get all the language in there and we can send it out to planning, to county planning, and move forward with that.
One thing about that, I talked to Jason Kemper, I saw him last week, and he says the county right now has either 15 or 16 zoning codes or moratoria right in front of right now. A lot of solar and battery moratoria throughout the county. So the assumption that we're just going to get in there and get a 1 month response may not be accurate right now. I just want to warn everybody on that. It's not that they were necessarily overwhelmed, but it's just a lot of applications ahead of us right now with them. Go ahead.
Right, there are multiple BESS and solar and data center moratorium that are going before the county. Yeah, that's really where we are with the zoning code. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else. With respect to Chris, he is kind of at a standstill now until you folks get something to me, and then I can put edits in, but he's got the master program, so we would want to have him finish this up. But that's not anything in my purview.
Do we want to authorize $5,000 to get us to the finish line with him on this aspect of it? Is that a wise idea under the circumstances?
I don't know how much it would cost for him.
I would not to exceed, obviously, would be the wording of it if we went there, but just to make sure that he's able to finish out without it, you know, delaying or being delayed by the idea that we would have to vote on it later.
Well, perhaps we just ask him tomorrow a thought, and then he can do it on the next meeting. He doesn't need to work on it at this stage.
Good point. Right. Okay, we can do that. I like that. Parking schedule, you did send around on Friday where you stood on that, but if you want to just go over it with the board real quick too.
Sure. As you know, this parking schedule has kind of been amorphous for years, and there is a parking code that says these schedules have to be followed, but there's no schedules. And then thanks to DPW, thanks to the police, thanks to Jen, and then we were trying to put a lot of things together. Our office ultimately combined everything and created parking schedules. I did send them out because I don't know specifics. A lot of them say on this street. Well, I don't know if they mean on this street from corner A to corner B or for 115 feet or whatnot. So what I sent out to you folks, I think I sent it to you folks, to the police and to DPW saying, please review this. And I highlighted specifically the areas that we need review.
We'll get on that. DPW building cold storage. I had some communication with Cynthia Young back and forth. Going to talk more with her probably tomorrow. And Steve Gottman, the attorney, you did send a letter into Malta to establish our position. on the rights and abilities to build a cold storage building as a continuation of existing use and prior use of that property. Am I missing anything there?
No, we sent that out after we met with them. We sent that out to them. Attorney Gottman's going to take a look at it. He and the supervisor are going to speak tomorrow and hopefully get back to us.
Sidewalk code, I am sort of shepherding here, just to, in the spirit of, I think Sean's here, Sean, what he had worked on back when, using that as part of the crux of it and whatnot. But you've been given about 9,000 different things, so I'm trying to take a little bit off your plate, and then obviously getting it to the board. So we're working on getting that, and one of the highlights of that is going to be obviously the loan pool approach and trying to make sure we have an affordable hammer, essentially, when we go out to people to say, fix your sidewalk, but here's what we've got for you, so that it's not going to absolutely bury you financially. Consolidated Water District, I saw your back and forth just to tell the board, more or less, Supervisor Ostrander said he's fine with the engineers in Milton, Delaware Engineering, essentially working on that directly with the village right now to finish that off. So we'll be scheduling something with them, I'm sure, in the next week or so.
Like late next week,
Yep.
We're going to sit together.
Just let me know if you need me there. Any questions on where anything sits status-wise? I try to be somewhat comprehensive here on that list, but we have a lot of things going on right now, obviously. Hearing no questions. New business, county RFP response. And it says motion G, I should have said motion H. I apologize, we stuck a motion in there after I made that change. Let me read this. The village has prepared a detailed response to the county's request for consolidated office space. Its central estimate, housing the county's offices and its courts together on the Ballston Spot campus, is about $185 million, a figure we can defend line by line. The rest largely on land the county already owns, plus the adjacent Maplewood parcel, which we have priced and built into that number. You will notice that we did not put a figure on the State Farm Complex in Malta, and that was deliberate. An honest number cannot be had yet, and we weren't exactly sure what the status of that building is according to the original Albany Business Journal article. But let's start with what the RFP makes clear. The county's courts stay in Ballston Spa either way. Fixing them, roughly $34 million according to our estimates, is owed here no matter what. So the real comparison is the offices alone, since the courts would be in addition to either office possibility. And on the offices, the two are at best a wash, with Malta the more likely to cost more. The $19 million being repeated in public is not necessarily a purchase price. It is what the county set aside in reserves, and a county official has said it would take years and cost far more. Add the conversion of a corporate campus into a public building for more than 20 departments, plus technology, security, relocation, and whatever the state requires for access, and every one of those only pushes the number up. And there are problems at that site that money alone does not solve, and that the $19 million figure ignores. Its parking is spread far from the building. To bring it closer means an expensive garage. It has no bus line, unlike our campus, which would either strand transit-dependent residents or force the county to fund new CDTA service. And the county would be buying only that building and its parking, with no room to grow unless it first rebuilds that parking as a garage. So for essentially the same money, one plan keeps county government together in the seat with room to grow. The other splits it in two and boxes it in. When you account for everything, the certainty runs towards staying. Obviously, it's in draft status, but obviously we'll have 2 days to get it submitted for their at least initial deadline. Anything that you see that should be changed or modified, anything you want to say with respect to it, now would be the time, and then we'll offer the motion once we're set on that.
No changes, but thanks for, starting this and working together, because we've heard a lot of complaints that we needed to do something, and here's, something. At least we're getting the conversation going, and I think that's an important first step.
Is your microphone out? Just to make sure. Yep, it is. I see the green. Yep, very good.
I thought it was very convincing.
Thanks, Mary. Appreciate that. All any thoughts?
Pertinent to the discussion we're having.
Yep. And as it's stressed throughout, we don't control land, but we have had good conversations with the relevant people in this situation. And I did have a brief discussion with a supervisor on the board, and they are thirsty for information right now, is what I came away with from that discussion. And so I think that's important to know that, you know, the idea of done deals and all that stuff is not accurate. A referendum will likely be necessary because the courts alone aren't what affects the referendum status. There's 6 different pieces of the county government that basically trigger that, and at least some of those are definitely within the plans if they were to move. So yeah, there's a lot to be said and done before this. And to Liz's point earlier, if they determine to move, then we have those discussions about what's next with that property. But let's stay optimistic, let's stay fighting here, and let's see what happens. Because as a lot of people said on my Facebook page, keep the county seat where it lays, right here, and those offices in the county seat. So I'd like to offer up the motion approving the village's attached county RFP response and authorizing the mayor to execute and submit the RFP.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Dubuque.
I'll second.
Trustee Price-Bush, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other old or new business that I may have missed in this? Public comment on any issue, 3 minutes. And again, if you're on Zoom, this would be the time to raise your hand. We do appreciate Jen manually running our camera approach tonight over there. She's doing a splendid job. Anybody like to speak for 3 minutes? We have a hand on Zoom if you want to go there first, only because it's going to be a little, sorry, Ellie, but we'll let her sit after this. Say hand still up.
It was up, yeah.
And let's see, Ben, if you go, we should hear you. There, go ahead. Yep, you're good.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. I'm happy to hear the crosswalk is moving forward. Very happy to hear that. We started that project before Frank even became mayor. And so it's been at least 4 years in the making. And I appreciate you pursuing that and making sure it happens, because I also noticed that it didn't look like it was being built, and and that's why I reached out to you 2 weeks ago asking about that. So I appreciate the follow-up, and I'm glad that you are on board now with that project. So thanks for that. The zoning, I'd like to emphasize, I put this in writing, but it was months ago, for all board members to consider, that if you're going to put businesses in residential areas, the zoning has to include the conditions, very specific conditions for the operation of those businesses, to mitigate against any disruption of the residential character and neighbors within that vicinity. And also, as Chris has acknowledged, the calculations for the setbacks in the residential areas, the new estimations were very inaccurate. He has submitted more accurate estimates, and those are the ones that should be used. So I'm hoping and assuming that you're going to replace the old estimates that were in the zoning with the new ones, because those are the accurate ones according to the consultant. Also, I want to just express appreciation for pursuing creative ideas around trying to keep the county offices in our village. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And is that it for Zoom? If it is, I will say, Ellie, come on down. Say hi, Jen.
Ellie Dillon, 116 Malta Avenue, Ballston spot. I'm just waking up to this. The DPW buildings you're talking about down by the creek outside the village, correct?
On Malta Avenue,
Yeah, on Malta Avenue.
Yep. Well past you, though.
Yeah, I gotta get there. And what does it mean, cold storage?
So if you give me a moment and this won't count against you here, I'll stop the clock physically just for you. We currently run that route in terms of every day. We have trucks that go back and forth from there.
So you already have an agreement with Malta?
We already have storage going on there. What we're trying to do is put a roof, essentially, a building, so that we can store and take some pressure off of the building that we're going to rebuild, the garage. but also it might actually lessen some of the traffic because we won't have to constantly go back and forth. We can actually house some of the equipment there.
Do we have to pay for that? For using Malta's property?
No, it's our property. We own that property in Malta.
In Malta, you own the,
We own the property in Malta. Yep.
Because if you notice where the trestle is,
Mhm.
the town of Milton has a little finger of land.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And the trucks now are getting blocked under the trestle, trying to make that turn. And what is it?
What is it?
That building, in the building that's going on right by the trestle, that whole massive construction up the hill. It's not in the village, it's right out.
Are you talking where the road was that the CHPE was using as an access point?
No, it's next to the trucking.
Before the trestle.
Yeah,
There's
right by the trestle, you can't miss it.
There's a huge
On
construction
Malta?
project going on the north side of
And
Malta.
there's trucks going in and out, and there's a big Walmart truck there, which has been there forever. It's not
Yeah.
Walmart.
We're not building a Walmart, don't worry, Kelly.
No, but they always had the small trucking place.
I'll take a better look at that, I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that.
It's huge, and it's causing problems, so now I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna have this storage down at, I'm gonna have to get outside with my little clicker with all the traffic.
No, that's not like I said, we're already using that route every day. You may not even realize it.
No, they're very good about, they always toot when they go by.
See?
Get out of tooting. But the other thing is, and this goes back to the state, State Farm, the county seat. When I first moved into Ballston Spa, everybody wanted it out. It was taking all this land off the tax rolls. So this has been a slow transition of thought. Has there been a real concrete study or data, tax rolls for residents, tax rolls, well, no tax roll, but profit with the county seat? Is there anything that we can look at?
The assessed value, if I remember correctly, I got it somewhere. I think with the 3 buildings currently that the county has in the village, so the main complex building, we'll call it A building, 3 parcels.
Yes.
So the main complex, 50 West High Street, and the DSS building down the hill there on West High. I think it was somewhere that was sitting at about $20 million of assessed value, give or take, for the 3 of them. I don't quote me on that. I'm just doing it from memory right now. So it's a chunk of money that we don't get on the sales tax roll, and we don't get on the property tax roll. So yes, there's a plus and a minus to everything here.
There isn't, I think, a right answer in terms of.
No, here's where I've landed on it over 4.5 years of sitting in this chair. If it goes, there's opportunity, but there's going to be a pause in that opportunity because there's going to be a dead period for that property no matter what. And whose tax rolls it is or isn't on and everything like that until they sell it or give it to somebody or whatever they do, that's a mystery for that period of time. And that we've got to have an earnest discussion with the county about that time frame, how to make sure that we don't get hurt during that time, that intermediate period, while the opportunity that might exist occurs. But in the first place, though, a lot of people rally to the idea this is the county seat. And I take umbrage with people.
I like that.
I take umbrage with the people that are like, oh, we need just what we need, more traffic. What more traffic? It's already here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they expand operations a little bit more down the line, but that's a natural progression of growth, no matter what it is, be it the county or somebody else. So I think we fight because that's what we're doing with the RFP response to say, yeah, well, you know what? You haven't explored everything necessarily because that piece of property adjacent to you is technically viable because there's a price for everything in life, right? And that's what Brian Douglas said himself. There's a number that I'm sure that the county could offer him and his partner, and so be it. Okay, that's for you to negotiate. We can't do that for you. But, let's see where you can go with this at the end of the day. If they choose to do what they want to do, they're going to have to still do a referendum. If they pass the referendum, we have to have an earnest conversation about the next step. So this is a multi-layered conversation still.
Okay, and the very, very last thing, what is the timeline now for the zoning board? code public hearing. Sorry, but I got to get it in my mouth.
I think August for hopefully a September passage is the best we're going to be able to hope for right now. Maybe September
And would that
4th, September
affect
passage.
if there were new building projects for the county in the village?
The
How would that
PDD
affect?
stuff won't come till later anyway,
Mhm.
so, it also
So
allows
it's
us.
important that we get this in soon.
It's important we get this in soon, but the PDD, if we have to tailor it a certain way to make sure the county can utilize it, that we make PDD, because there's 3 properties that essentially a PDD is going to affect in this village, if at all. Tannery could be one technically at some point if it doesn't move forward. That property and Ricketts, and so we got to make sure we get it right. And if the village wants that to remain, we got to make sure that the PDD is written in a way that invites a good process, a good style of what needs to be done. But again, we won't know that until a little while anyway. So yes, let's get our existing zoning handled, and then we'll talk about the accoutrements after that.
And then take a ride down Malta Avenue.
I'm going to.
Trestle.
I'm going
Look
to.
to the right.
I'm going to email you after I see it and see what I can find out for you. Thank you.
That's Irwin's trucking, by the way.
Okay.
Trucking company.
It used to have a different name. What was the
Truck.
The one next to it,
Sean Raymond, 7 Chesterwood Court. Good evening, board. Got a couple of things. I was super pumped to hear that the crosswalks are back in. It was a long time coming. Next, there seems to be a lot of language about PUDs and PDDs, and I'm kind of shocked because it was made abundantly clear by the public repeatedly that people simply don't want that. And it was also in the comprehensive plan. So I'm not really sure why all of a sudden we're having these last minute discussions about it when it was made pretty clear that that's not what people want. So I really hope there's not going to be any last minute language inserted in the zoning law regarding the PUDs and PDDs. In regards to the RFP, I hope it is. The one thing that I'm confused about, I read a little bit of it. I just glanced through the proposal, and there's a greenfield site. As I recall, over the years, it was the State Farm site was always the primary site. And I don't see how that's changed. So, and it is, as far as the county's concerned, far preferable as far as location for all the county buildings, including the county seat. So I'm not really sure why that would be off the table unless there's something I don't know about where State Farm has decided that's not even a possibility. And if it is a possibility, my guess would be a public referendum would vote yes on that because it's more centrally located for all the residents within Sarasota County. If for some reason something like that does happen, I would beseech the board to have the county make some sort of deal where they raise the buildings and maybe abandon the property to the village. That way it would become our property, could probably sell it commercially, make the money off of that, plus put it back on the tax roll. We may end up long-term, that may be more beneficial than just keeping the county seat here. Just throwing it out there.
You have 10 seconds.
10 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll be done.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. There is discussion in the response about the county had stated before that they're going to mitigate and handle the asbestos buildings or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't. I just want to make sure that that didn't get written out so that when we submit it's still in there. Thank you. Anybody else? Liz. Bentley's Express.
It's asleep. 89 Hyde Boulevard. Yeah, I think, what Sean just said made a lot of sense. I don't think that they're going to turn down a ready-built building if that is an option for them. And I think compared to any greenfield or redoing any other site, but, it's worth a try. And I'd really like to see, maybe you can have Labella do an analysis of, long-term, next 10 years, whatever, if that turns to taxable property and is developed versus the county stays. Because that would be interesting to see, is keeping the county here really what we want. So I'd like to see that kind of analysis, and I think probably Labella can do it pretty quick. I assume they're the ones who helped you, do that proposal with all those numbers.
Nope.
No? Ah. Okay. I hope that somebody with some construction knowledge would have put those numbers together. Then on the sidewalk code, you've used this term hammer a number of times to force people to fix their sidewalks. And it's been a couple of years you've been talking about this. Are you going to use this hammer this time around with the paving schedule, since you don't have a sidewalk code yet? And, you keep bringing it up, but I haven't seen it implemented yet. Thank you.
Writing my note, hammer time. Okay. Can't touch this? Yeah, that's right. Anybody else? Yes, my guy Galucci. Come on down. Gotta have a little laugh every so often, Mike, sorry.
That's all right. Mike Iacolucci, 3 Encore Drive. Just a couple of comments with respect to John Street water tank and the monopole and the construction activity. With the cement mixers there, it was frightening to go up or down.
I drove up too, so I got that note, and before we got to the office, somebody had already called in. I think it may have been you or somebody else, so yes.
So two things I just wanted to relate to the board. I spoke with one of the men working there and described some of my concern about traffic, and he said, not anything to do with us. So it was disappointing, I guess not too surprising, but disappointing. But that led me to wonder, can the village, when it contracts with a party to do work that could cause disruptions to traffic, include provisions that require the contractor to provide safe passage for vehicles during construction? So just a request, really. Mm-hmm. Second thing, this gentleman I spoke with indicated that when the monopole is delivered, they would be closing John Street entirely.
Yeah, they would have to.
From Palmer down to Round. The more notice that could be provided to people
working on
about that closure, the better.
Yep.
We would appreciate seeing that.
And absolutely, no, I agree with you. One of the problems, though, Mike, is that it's not technically us contracting directly on that. This is Aerosmith building it with AT&T, and the AT&T is handing us basically that monopole. So we don't have that much say in it, but we would also, I think, regardless of who's in charge, we appreciate a little bit more cooperation. So point taken in that respect. Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane. Two things. First of all, I'm not understanding why people aren't upset that these crosswalks were left out. They're just happy that they're put back in. I'm pretty upset about it. I have a lot of friends over at Doubleday Woods, So I kind of dug into this too. I know people too. And
That scares me.
I have a feeling I know what happened. And I'm waiting on concrete proof of that. And if I find out what I think I know, I will let everybody know about it. So I'm not taking this sitting down. Second, the county complex. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I sat here for I don't know how many meetings and listened to people complain that not enough was being done to keep the county of business in the county. I mean, in the village. Keep it here. Don't let them go. Don't let them go to State Farm. So now an attempt is being made to keep the county in the village, in the seat, and everybody's like, oh no, maybe you should let them go. Is this the Twilight Zone? I don't understand what's going on here. They were screaming before, keep them here, the businesses, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, whoa, make them give us the property and make it commercial. And I don't know. I just don't get it.
Anybody else? Seeing none, hearing none, it is time for other business, including but not limited to board response to public comment. Paul, you want to go first or last tonight?
I don't have that much to add, so I can go first and say I'm not going to make any comment.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah, I was a little dismayed at some of the comments tonight too, I have to say. Because I think it's not a complete solution, but it's just, like I said, a step forward, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of confused what the public exactly wants. Do we want the county seat here? Do we not?
Good question.
Personally, as a historian, it's part of our identity, right? It's who we are. But if they go, then commercial space, what does that look like? Are we going to have complaints? We don't want a lot of development in here. So I think I'm not against us having these conversations. I think they are important. I'm just confused by the back and forth and how quickly things are kind of changing. But that's just my piece.
Mary?
I have nothing to say.
State Farm history. This is an interesting one, and I'm actually going to give folks a piece of history they may not understand or know about from a year and a half ago or so. To avoid the revisionist history scenario that Gina alluded to, which I agree with actually here, it seems like a weird revision going on here tonight, but it is what it is. We're going to do what we were told was wanted for years here. The State Farm site has been discussed since Liz was in office before I was mayor. Right? I think I cited to the email back in 21 or early 22 about this whole thing and the study that the county was going to be doing. The study. It was due in Labor Day 2022. The first time I've seen a completed copy of this thing was attached to the RFP now in 2026. It's been 4 years. Yes, the common link was State Farm, but what people don't understand is that State Farm is still paying rent. And the owners of those buildings, or the buildings that they filled, are happy to continue to take that rent until 2028 in the first place. But a funny thing happened. Remember all the stuff I always say about 12020 Ballston Spa, New York, how people get it confused? Well, the owners of those buildings apparently thought they lived in that they resided in Ballston Spa, those buildings, and offered the village to buy those buildings a year and a half ago. Now, I flagged it to the county because I'm like, why are we getting this, obviously? And you get a little bit more information when you provide that. And long story short, State Farm was paying the rent, paying the taxes. Nobody wanted to undo that situation. The only thing that's been happening is little pieces of different buildings over there have been getting rented out, like the court management for the state has a piece of, I think, 101 State Farm Place. And, 100 kind of sits there, this sprawling asphalt jungle. If you do the overhead on it, it is atrocious to look at. It is a quarter mile from the furthest parking space to the entry point of the building for parking. I mean, if you ever saw a place that should have had a parking garage, this was it. I don't know what they were thinking over there. But it's also, for as much as it exists as a structure, and Paul and I had this conversation last week, that building will need a lot of work to accomplish what they're attempting to do. And there is a cost to that in probably the $150 to $200 square foot approach with some of the things they'll need to do. So the notion that it's absolutely cheaper to do that compared to building a new building and renovating their existing buildings into a more cohesive complex is not a gimme. And that's why we can't speak to it definitively in our response, because we don't know what the numbers are, but this assumption is wrong, plain wrong. And also the Albany Business Journal article stated at the end of it that it may not be available, the State Farm 100 State Farm Place. Now, I don't know if that was misreporting or not, but even the county administrator and I were talking, he said, boy, that was interesting to read. And I said, I agree with you. I don't understand it, but I agree with you at the end of the day. So to assume everything that was being stated in some of the public comments, don't assume, because there is a lot in play here, a lot in play still. And so this was an opportunity for us to basically put our foot in the doorway and say, hey there, we've got something for you here. We've researched it, we've talked to the parties, and we would like you to stay. You add a lot to who we are as a community. Some properties will go back on the tax rolls. The idea we presented says 50 West High and the DSS sites, probably they don't need them at that point because they'll have a 7-acre envelope, we call it, on the 15-acre parcel to build 1 to 2 major buildings and fulfill the space they want, maybe expand later on down the line, have plenty of parking and everything else, and renovate what you've got across the street in the court complex, and have a nice, cohesive massing of those two sites. So, again, I just want to say, for all that we've been told for 4 years about, not just the time you guys have been here, we've been getting this for years before that.
I remember calling you like 3 or 4 years ago when I wasn't even involved in politics, and asked, like, what's going on?
Yeah, I remember that. And, really not much has changed. The same locations on the table, apparently, but maybe not. An RFP means that, yeah, they're trying to fish right now to see, what's going to happen. Maybe it's a fish or cut bait for the State Farm location over there. I don't know. They're going to be the ones that know, but at least we have offered the option, because for the first time we actually have a working relationship as a village with the ownership, because when Ballston 2 LLC owned it, I reached out to them and they were just not responsive, period, exclamation point. Didn't want to talk to us at all. They sued us and everybody else about their assessed value and came to a settlement on that expired, I think, last year, but they had wanted nothing to do with us. So we couldn't ever even offer that opportunity or option in that situation because they weren't talking. So we couldn't say, hey, go talk to the ownership, because they're open to, talking about a sale. This ownership, hey, they just bought it for $2 1/4. They got carrying costs. There's a number out there somewhere, I'm sure, that they would say, hey, kind of free money, profit. So, they're willing to at least hear them out. And so, hear them out. And that's what, we assume that the county is like this, monolithic type of, one person says yes or no. No, there are multiple supervisors. And many of those supervisors look at this like, why are we going to move this 3 miles to the east, essentially, or to the southeast, further away from us? Maybe it helps Clifton Park and Half Moon get closer to it, but the number of sites in the county, the number of towns and villages and cities, that it is further away from, we have that advantage ultimately. And we are also at better crossroads because I-87 is not the only crossroad of Saratoga County. In fact, more of Saratoga County is not connected to I-87 than is when you look at the geographic mass of us. It's basically east favored that I-87 go to the west, and you have a lot more of the county still there. So nothing is for sure, and we're fighting in a positive way. We're not trying to beat the county down about this, but we're saying, look, consider us. And I not only don't see the harm in it, I remember sitting here getting beaten over the head with a frying pan by Keith Lewis multiple times in public comment that we haven't done anything, we don't do enough and everything else. And it's like, okay, listen, now's the time. Tis time. The RFP came out and we were ready for it. I think there's a little bit of interesting reaction to it at this point. We'll see where it goes. Need an executive session or no?
I do not.
Can I get a motion that the vouchers be audited and the meeting be adjourned at 8:06 p.m.?
So moved.
Trustee Dunkelbarger.
I'll second.
Trustee Price Bush, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will see you. Yeah, motion carries, by the way, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Why are you offended, my dear?
I'm offended that you, as a board, have chastised people for asking questions because they want to learn. There's no anger here. I just wanted to know.
That wasn't for you.
But anybody,
That wasn't
we
what it was.
ask questions to learn.
But we're not chastising you. We're just confused by
No, you chastise.
how things are
You
separate.
criticize the tone, not the tone, it was really nice. I'm just confused that you intimidate people for asking.
I'm not intimidating. I'm just confused. What is,
Confused.
I'm confused by what it is the public